Hey guys, it's Coach Blair here in the kitchen bringing you a new BeyondFit Physiques recipe. This recipe is going to be a really delicious breakfast cookie, and what's great about this recipe is that not only does it fit into the fat loss lifestyle, but it's also one of those recipes that you make ahead of time, so that way when you're running late for work like I typically am, you don't have to worry about making breakfast. It's already made for you, and all you have to do is run into the kitchen, grab, and go. So this is a great recipe for you to do on Sunday on your meal prep day, and for you to enjoy for the rest of the week. So I've got all of our ingredients out already pre-measured out and prepared. Just a couple of notes. We've got unsweetened applesauce here, vanilla, cinnamon. This is the mashed bananas. Just as a little tip and a side note, I personally am not fond of using a potato masher or a fork to mash my fruits. I find that it's tedious, it's annoying, it just drives me up the wall. So what I do with my the fruits that need to be mashed for different recipes is that I actually cut the fruit up and then I stick it in the magic bullet and then just puree it for a couple of seconds until it gets to the consistency that I like. It's a lot faster. I think it's a lot easier. Yes, it's one more dish to clean, but that's what a dishwasher is for. So that's just a little tip with your mashed bananas. Then we've got our oats here. Now, a note about the oats, these are uncooked, okay? And you can use quick cooking oats if you want, or you can use the good steel cut oats, which is the better choice. I'm personally using the quick oats this time. That's just what I have in my pantry. But you can use either choice. Then I've got some raisins here. You can choose whatever fruit you want to put in. I like the taste of raisins, so I use them. You can use dried cranberries, you can use dried mangoes, you can use apricots, whatever floats your boat really, you can use. Just be sure that they're good and they're small and that they'll be easy to mix. So if you have some of those bigger dried fruits, you might need to cut it up a little bit, and you also want to watch the sugar content with some of those dried fruits because sometimes it gets to be a little bit much. But anyway, so I'm using raisins here, and then here I have some pecans. Not pecans, it's pecans. And I'm using pecans in this batch just because that's what I have on hand. They're left over from Granddad, and they're already pre-cut up, so I don't have to worry about it. But you can use any nut that you so choose. Almonds are going to be the best choice for you for the fat loss lifestyle. Pecans, whatever you call them, they're a higher fat nut. But again, that's just what I have on hand. So those are all of the ingredients that you'll need, and we'll get started on the next slide. Okay, so now we're finally ready. Now that you know about all the ingredients, we're ready to put it all together and create that breakfast cookie. So we're going to start with the unsweetened applesauce. This is going to be interesting doing it one-handed. And you're going to pour it into your KitchenAid mixer. Make sure, if I had two hands, I would use a little spatula and get the rest of it out of there, but just get what you can. Then you're going to add your cinnamon, and then follow that with your vanilla extract. You want to mix those three ingredients first, so that way it's well distributed amongst the applesauce. So go ahead and lower your KitchenAid, lock it in place, and turn it on. And just give it a nice little swirl for a couple of seconds. That way everything can get mixed in. Okay, so now that the cinnamon and the vanilla is mixed in with your applesauce, then you're going to go for your next ingredients. It doesn't matter what order that you do it in. It's really kind of whatever floats your boat. So I'm going to start with some oats. I'm just going to toss them all in. And I personally like to mix as I add each ingredient because sometimes if you put too much in at once, it just gets a bit hairy and it just doesn't mix well. So that's going to be there in the KitchenAid for a second. And then the next one that I'm going to add, and I'm going to have to use two hands, so I'm going to stop recording, is going to be the mashed bananas. So I'm going to add that in next. All right, so now that everything's mixed together, we're fixing to put it onto the pre-greased pan. I've already sprayed it down with some nonstick spray. If you have some parchment paper, that would be a really good idea to use. I don't have any in my pantry, so I'm just using the nonstick. But then what you're going to do is you're just going to take a nice spoonful and you're just going to place it onto the cookie sheet. And you want to space them out and give them plenty of room to grow. And with this, you can use a spoon like I am, or if you have one of those really fancy melon scooper ball maker things, you can certainly use that. That'll make them a lot prettier than these globby things that I'm making. But it's really kind of whatever you have. It's all about making do with what you have and not having to have a ton of special equipment to get accomplished what you want. So just make sure that your globs, for lack of a better word, are about the same size and shape as you put them out. And I'm not going to waste your time by showing you all of them as I do them one by one. So just continue this process until you've got the whole cookie sheet nice and full. Then you'll pop them into the oven at 350. Alrighty, so I've got all of my breakfast cookies out and on the pan. And next I'm just going to stick it in the oven for 30 to 35 minutes, however long it takes for those cookies to get deliciously golden brown. I don't know why I'm using a hot pot holder. That pan isn't hot yet. Alright, we'll see you in 30 to 35 minutes. Alright, so our cookies have been in the oven for just at 30 minutes. They're nice and golden brown, nice and well done. You want to leave them here on the cookie sheet for 5 minutes before you take them off and let them sit on a cooling rack. And then let them cool until they are completely cool to the touch. You can eat them and then store in an airtight container for up to a week. Alright guys, enjoy your now easy grab and go breakfast. Have a great week, guys.